When you were dating, you did all the things to make sure that that special person in your life knew just how much they meant to you. You wanted to be with them all the time. You brought them gifts, flowers, things like that. You wrote notes. When you weren't together, you stayed on the phone for long periods of time, like you just weren't together. There was no doubt in that other person's mind, that special person, that they were special to you because you treated them that way.
That's so true. And we really could go on and on and on about how we would win over someone's heart by those special moments together. And that's really what we want to look at right now is making sure that we keep that really before us and identifying those needs of our spouse and not putting them on the back burner as time goes on and then really forgetting about those things. We want to keep those things to help us keep our love alive.
So there are five core competencies of social and emotional learning. And remember, these core competencies are critical in having successful relationships, whether that's outside the home, at work, or if that's at home in your marriage. So the five core competencies of SEL are self awareness, self management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. So, as you develop in each area of your social emotional learning, you'll have more success in your relationship. You may identify that areas where you're lacking may cause you to be a little bit less successful than you like to be in certain relationships. And so, we're going to dive into that.
And then by mastering those skills, we're going to create and cultivate stronger and healthy relationships so that we can build them to last.
The second core competency of social emotional learning is self management. It is the ability to manage your emotions, your behavior, um, and control yourself, essentially. So, the first core competency was self awareness. It's being aware of your thoughts and behaviors and how that affects other people. This is all about now that you're aware of your thoughts, your behaviors, your tendencies, it's your ability to manage and regulate how you respond in certain situations.
So, as Jane was frustrated with Mark, she had a decision on how she was going to respond to her frustrations. She could turn and yell at Mark. She could make a scene. Jane had many ways that she could respond to the situation. And life really is about not just what happens, but how we respond to it. So being able to stay in control. So let's say that a conflict could arise because you were frustrated about a behavior. Your response is the next layer of defense against that conflict. So you have a decision to make on how you respond to that. That's where your own self control comes into play. So that's really important. And it's also another opportunity for us to see that our own behaviors and actions have a direct impact on our relationship.
Absolutely. One of the things that comes to mind when I think about self management is the proverb that tells us that a person that is able to rule over their own spirit, their what they say
Mm.
essentially, how they respond, that person is greater than a conqueror. So again, in a uh, in a discussion or an argument, which happens in relationships, um, self management, if you have very good self management skills, you are able to respond in a way that doesn't trigger your spouse even more. Um, you might be in a heated conversation or argument, and something comes to mind that you could say that maybe it's right, but it could really hurt your spouse's feelings or really set them off on a an even greater warpath. And so having the ability to filter out the things that you should do, the things that you shouldn't do, the things that you should say and that you shouldn't say, that is all about self-management. That's all self-control. Again, it's critical in not only preventing conflicts, but how you resolve conflicts in a healthy way.
Right. And so when we get to our complex module, we're going to really help give you some tools and some insight on how to navigate your way through when you do find yourself in that situation. So, right here, we really want to help make sure that you have the tools to avoid it altogether. Learn to de escalate a situation before it gets to that point.
So if again you look at the steps that we've gone through here with social and emotional learning, there's a self-awareness, which is you are aware of your own strengths and weaknesses, you're aware of your triggers, you're aware of how you respond and think in certain situations. Now the next layer of that is now let's help you to learn to manage yourself better. And remember, in any relationship, the only one that you really have control over is yourself.
Hmm.
Okay, so this is about self mastery. This is about mastering your own thoughts, emotions, and how you respond in situations. And the better you do that, which is interesting. One of the laws of that govern our universe is that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Hmm.
The better that you get at managing yourself in certain situations and how you respond, you can actually have a big impact on your spouse. For example, the scripture that says a kind word or soft answer turns away wrath.
Hmm.
And so, again, in a situation where maybe your spouse is upset and maybe their tone of voice is high and frustrate, you can hear the frustration in the voice. Well, if you respond in kind, you might take that up another level. But just a soft response, a soft spoken answer or reply has a way of really de-escalating some arguments and some discussions. So, all right. So enough about self-management. Let's go on to our next core competency.